Between 1987 and 1997, a show aired on Fox that shattered every expectation of what family television could be. Married, with Children arrived at a cultural moment ripe for disruption. The wholesome family sitcom, the kind that had dominated television since the golden age of Hollywood, suddenly felt tired and dishonest. This show said, families are messy, parents are incompetent, children are selfish, and nobody learns lessons at the end of the episode. Across 11 seasons and 262 episodes, the Bundy family careened through living rooms across America, and by the time the final episode aired, the landscape of television had shifted permanently. We're counting down the essential cast members who made this happen. Of the 10 principal players we're honoring today, the passage of time has claimed a particular toll. 2 of them have crossed into their 70s. One battles a condition that would have sidelined most people, and one passed away just as the show found its rhythm. Several transcended the very typecasting the show created, while others became something altogether different. Directors, advocates, and artists who used what the role taught them to reach far beyond the confines of a suburban Chicago home. These are their stories, written across decades since the show ended. We've withheld one name until its reveal, but you'll know exactly who we're talking about when we get there. Number 1, we have Christina Applegate as Kelly Bundy. She stepped onto that set in 1987 as a blonde bombshell playing the dim-witted daughter, and the role could have consumed her entire career. Instead, Applegate spent her time on television understanding what it meant to be on television. After Married, with Children ended, she moved between projects with calculated intention, appearing in shows like Samantha Who and Dead to Me, proving she could carry dramatic weight as well as comedic timing. But in 2021, while filming the final season of Dead to Me, Applegate discovered she had multiple sclerosis. She was diagnosed at age 49 after experiencing symptoms, leg buckling, numbness, unexplained fatigue, for as long as 7 years before the formal diagnosis arrived. Her brain MRI showed approximately 30 lesions scattered across the tissue. Instead of retreating, Applegate became vocal about the experience. She launched a podcast called Messy, alongside fellow actress Jamie Lynn Sigler, who also lives with MS. She published a memoir titled You with the Sad Eyes, examining her childhood, her acting career, motherhood, and the specific cruelty of dealing with both breast cancer and a degenerative neurological condition. Every morning, her feet hurt significantly. Exertion causes her to feel worse for 4 days after. And yet she remains angry about it, saying publicly that she still sits thinking, "Boo-hoo, woe is me," with genuine frustration. This is the legacy of refusal. The choice to keep going, keep speaking, keep creating despite the body's betrayals. From Peg's daughter to an advocate using her platform to illuminate what most people hide in silence. Number 2, we have David Faustino as Bud Bundy. He was the younger Bundy child, the perpetual ladies' man with a heart full of schemes and not much else. After the show ended, Faustino turned to voice acting, discovering a medium that would sustain him through decades. He became Helia in the Nickelodeon revival of Winx Club. He voiced Mako the Firebender in The Legend of Korra. He provided the voice for Dagur the Deranged in DreamWorks Dragons across multiple seasons, playing both villain and eventually a character offered redemption through the show's narrative. Between 2007 and 2009, he developed and starred in Starving, a weekly internet comedy series on Crackle, betting on the nascent world of online video years before streaming became the default. He appeared as a guest on NBC's Jessie, reuniting with Christina Applegate after the Bundy years, and he has maintained a presence in television, popping up on shows like Modern Family, Bones, and The Bernie Mac Show. While his role on Married with Children ended, his career never really stopped. It transformed into something more distributed, more versatile, less dependent on being the leading man, and more focused on the craft of making people laugh across different platforms. He also spent years working as a celebrity DJ, spinning records at West Hollywood clubs where he once hosted, pulling in future superstars as they were still emerging. The voice that delivered every awkward adolescent laugh became the voice that could work anywhere. Number 3, we have Ted McGinley as Jefferson Darcy. He came to the show in Season 4 as Marcy's new husband, a moment when the show could have collapsed under its own exhaustion. Instead, McGinley brought a specific kind of desperation to the role, a man treading water through an impossible marriage, slowly being dragged down by his wife's schemes and the Bundy family's proximity. He would go on to become known as the patron saint of the website Jump the Shark because of his tendency to arrive in television shows shortly before they imploded. But Married with Children was the exception. The show ran for 5.5 more seasons after his arrival. Born in Newport Beach, California, McGinley had already appeared on Happy Days as Roger Phillips, the nephew of Marion Cunningham, from 1980 to 1984. He played Stanley Gable in Revenge of the Nerds, the head jock and primary antagonist. When he landed on Married with Children, he described it as a great gig, and the show validated that assessment by keeping him around for 166 episodes across the remainder of its run. The lesson McGinley teaches us is that sometimes the right role at the right moment saves you from the narrative that seemed inevitable. Sometimes you arrive as the final straw, but the structure holds anyway. Number 4, we have Amanda Bearse as Marcy Rhodes, and later Marcy Darcy. She was Al Bundy's nemesis, the neighbor who found him endlessly contemptible, who competed with Peg, who lived through 2 husbands on the show, and embodied a particular kind of American social climbing, wrapped in athletic wear and passive aggression. Bearse was already a film actress when she came to television. She played the vampire love interest in Fright Night in 1985, 2 years before Married with Children premiered. But the sitcom became her vehicle, appearing across all 11 seasons. While acting on the show, she began directing. Between 1991 and 1997, she helmed over 30 episodes of Married with Children, becoming one of the first women in television to successfully balance acting and directing on the same show. She went on to direct episodes of Reba, Dharma and Greg, and Veronica's Closet. And in 1993, Bearse came out as gay in Advocate magazine, becoming the first primetime actress to publicly come out. She has been married to Carrie Schenken since 2010, and they have 2 children together. They live in Atlanta. Bearse's career arc represents something revolutionary about the 80s and 90s. The possibility of reinvention, of a woman being an actor and a director, of a public figure choosing to live truthfully even when the culture demanded silence. The neighbor who fought with Al Bundy became the woman who changed television simply by existing in it openly. Number 5, we have Buck the dog as Buck Bundy. His real name was Mike, born in 1983, and he was originally trained by Stephen Ritt. Sometime during season 4, the trainer decided to officially rename him Buck to avoid confusion. The dog actor appeared in 177 episodes of the show, requiring the kind of patience and discipline that most human actors never develop. He understood cues and timing, blocking and repetition. He died on May 28, 1996, just months before the show's final season aired. He was replaced by another dog character named Lucky Bundy, but Buck was the one who had run through all those years of television history. He had been there from the beginning, a canine ensemble member in the suburbs of Chicago, watching the Bundy family destroy itself week after week. Buck represents the invisible labor of television, the animals, the crew members, the people and creatures whose work creates the experience we consume and remember. He was there, faithfully, for 177 episodes. That's most of the show's run, most of a dog's life, most of television history. Number 6, we have David Garrison as Steve Rhodes. He graduated summa cum laude from Boston University's College of Fine Arts in 1974 and spent several years with the resident company at Arena Stage in Washington, D.C. He came to Married with Children as the ultimate straight man, the neighbor who was always reasonable, always dressed impeccably, always baffled by the chaos next door. He played Steve for 4 seasons and then left. He missed performing in live theater and decided that television, even a successful show, couldn't keep him from the stage. He parted on good terms, returning 4 times in subsequent seasons and the reunion special. After leaving television, Garrison spent years in theatrical roles. He played Nathan Detroit in Guys and Dolls on tour. He played the Wizard on Broadway and in numerous productions of Wicked, earning a Carbonell Award for the role. His other television credits include Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, Madam Secretary, The West Wing, 30 Rock, Law and Order, The Practice, Without a Trace, Everybody Loves Raymond, NYPD Blue, Judging Amy, Murphy Brown, Murder, She Wrote, and L.A. Law. Garrison chose the stage over the comfortable security of television syndication, and the stage rewarded him with some of the most prestigious roles in American musical theater. He understood something essential. The spotlight that makes you famous is not the same as the stage that makes you complete. Number 7, we have Katey Sagal as Peggy Bundy. She arrived at the show already a working musician and singer, a harlot with Bette Midler for 3 years, a background vocalist for Bob Dylan, Olivia Newton-John, Etta James, and Tanya Tucker. She had been working in the entertainment industry since the late 1970s, but Peg Bundy made her a household name. During the show's run, she received 3 Golden Globe nominations and 2 American Comedy Award nominations. She was fabulous and brazen and deliberately undomesticated in a way that challenged every assumption about television wives. But after Married, with Children ended, Hollywood didn't know what to do with her. She was typecast. She wanted to showcase her range and versatility, but the roles didn't come. The world saw Peg Bundy when they looked at Katey Sagal, and that typecast nearly consumed her career. Then Kurt Sutter, who would become her husband in 2004, approached her about playing Gemma Teller-Morrow on Sons of Anarchy. The show premiered in 2008. For 7 seasons, Sagal played a character of such darkness, such complexity, such raw maternal ferocity, that it erased the Peg Bundy years entirely. In 2011, she won a Golden Globe Award for Best Performance by an actress in a television series, drama. She took the role that was written to redeem her and gave it everything, breaking free from a typecasting that had lasted a decade and a half. Katey Sagal learned the most difficult lesson. Sometimes you have to destroy the character that made you famous in order to be taken seriously. Number 8, we have Ed O'Neill as Al Bundy. Al was a failing shoe salesman with a high school football past that he could never stop talking about. He wore a tank top and stumbled through life. He had no ambition, no skills, no reason to exist, except that he occupied space. And Ed O'Neill made him transcendent. He made you pity Al and love him simultaneously, understand his failure as both comedy and tragedy. When Married with Children ended in 1997, Ed O'Neill was defined entirely by that role. He had appeared in other things, television shows, films, but nothing that had stuck. Nothing that had mattered. Then came Modern Family in 2009. O'Neill played Jay Pritchett, the family patriarch, and for 11 seasons he anchored an ensemble that won countless awards. He was nominated for 3 Primetime Emmy Awards for Outstanding Actor in a Comedy Series. His ensemble won 4 Screen Actors Guild Awards. Critics said he was exquisitely portraying the straight man to Sofia Vergara's fire engine of energy. And the numbers proved it. He started at $95,000 per episode and by season 11 was earning $500,000 per episode. On May 7, 2019, Ed O'Neill set a record when he appeared in his 494th sitcom episode, eclipsing the late Lucille Ball, who had held the mark for decades. From a character of pure failure to a patriarch of triumph, from tank top to tailored jacket, from the basement of television to its pinnacle. Ed O'Neill's career is about the second act, about the possibility that someone can be defined by one role and then redefine themselves entirely. The defining success of his life came after the character that initially defined his entire career. Number 9, we have Buck the second dog who played Buck in later seasons. After the original Buck died in May 1996, the production brought in another animal actor to complete the final season and any remaining filming. This dog would appear as Lucky Bundy, the next iteration of the Bundy family pet. While the original Buck had carried 177 episodes on his shoulders, this second dog carried the weight of replacement, the knowledge that audiences were mourning the loss of the first animal. The show's producers chose to acknowledge this transition narratively by giving the new dog a different name, Lucky instead of Buck, a decision that honored the original while moving forward. It's a small thing, the replacing of an animal actor, but it speaks to the fundamental ethics of production. You acknowledge what was lost, you bring in what's necessary, you keep the show moving forward. The second Buck understood his role in the machinery of television, whether or not he knew it consciously. He performed in the shadow of his predecessor, asking us to accept him as himself rather than as replacement. Number 10, we have Norman Paul Beeman Jr. and Stephen Joel Ritt, the dog trainers who made the canine performances possible. While Buck the dog received screen credit, the trainers who made him work remained invisible. Stephen Ritt renamed the original Buck from Mike to avoid confusion. He taught the dog to sit, to move on cue, to react appropriately to actors and chaos and scripts that the dog could never understand. The invisible labor of training, of patience, of repetition. This is what made the dog's performance possible. Television history exists on the backs of people whose names appear nowhere in the credits. The trainers are one example among thousands. They made it possible for America to see a dog living through the Bundy family's deterioration, which meant America saw the show itself. Without the trainers, there is no Buck. Without Buck, the Bundy family was incomplete. Married, with children aired in an age when television was supposed to teach moral lessons, when family programming was supposed to reinforce values, when sitcoms were supposed to make the world seem ordered and comprehensible. This show rejected all of that. It looked at the American family and said, "This is a disaster. This is failure. This is people trapped together by biology and law, neither of which guarantees love or respect or common sense." The show was gleefully nihilistic at a moment when nihilism felt honest. It lasted 11 seasons because that honesty resonated. By the end, the culture had shifted. Other shows began treating dysfunction as comic material. Other shows began letting families be messy. The path was cleared by Al Bundy's tank top and Peg's heels, and the neighbor's bewilderment and a dog named Buck running through it all. The cast members who created this show have aged now. Some have transcended their roles entirely. Some have fallen back into them repeatedly. Some have died. Some have survived conditions that seemed unsurvivable. All of them were part of a moment when television broke its own contract with America and found that breaking it was the most honest thing television could do. They came to work, said their lines, hit their marks, and in doing so, altered the landscape of what television could be. That's not just performance. That's historical consequence. That's legacy built one episode at a time, across a decade, in a suburban Chicago home that became the reflection of everyone's family. The one nobody wants to admit is theirs.